I am the governor of the Independent Authority for Public Revenue. In other words, the head of Greece's tax administration, which as of January 1st, 2017, operates as an independent authority. This is the second year I participate in Capital Link's annual Invest in Greece forum. And I am really thankful to Capital Link for inviting me here, because this gives me the opportunity to present to you the things that we have changed during the last year and those that we are planning to change in the years to come. I come from the private sector. I am a tax lawyer, but although I'm not an economist, I understand that the key word for attracting investments is trust. Without trust, no one will invest his time and money in a country. And what does trust mean when it comes to tax administration? My answer is efficiency and tax fairness. That is, making sure that everybody pays in the easiest way possible what they owe to the state, so that competition is not distorted by tax evasion and tax fraud, and that they pay no more than they actually owe. And this is what we are striving for in the Independent Authority for Public Revenue. In the past few years, Greece has developed a thorough e-filing system for almost all taxes. So for personal income tax, for corporate income tax, VAT, withholding taxes, tonnage tax, and with extensive pre-filling data features. Information on salaries, pensions, taxes, dividends, interest is already in the tax return. And e-filing is mandatory in Greece. Also, we have a very wide legal framework for receiving third-party information, including information from banks, investment companies, etc. Adding to this, the information that comes from us from the OECD and EU automatic exchange of information procedures, the Greek tax administration is ranked among those that have the highest level of information available to it. And I can tell you that our people are becoming better and better in making use of this information, and our taxpayers know it. I won't bore you with the details, but I will give you the following information. From last December until this November, Greece ran its third voluntary disclosure initiative scheme in the last 10 years. A scheme that was enormously less favorable than the two previous ones. And despite that, this last VDI was a success, as it brought us more than 711 million euros of taxes, whereas the two previous ones had given us insignificant revenue. Why did this happen? I believe because the eventuality of a tax audit based on information collected from bank account transactions became a credible threat for those that had neglected their tax obligations. In 2018, we will continue in this path by developing sectoral indirect audit methods for those with deliberately inaccurate bookkeeping, by further developing a risk-based enforcement model with interaction based on behaviors and attitudes, by making the best use of all the information from domestic and international sources, by controlling transfer of goods that enter our territory with the new X-ray machines that we are currently deploying at our borders and at the main ports, and by developing software and procedures for e-filing of transfer of goods within the territory. But as I said, trust is also about tax fairness. And I must tell you that we're very proud of the progress that we have made in this field. I will cite three brief examples. The first one is our dispute resolution unit. At the beginning of 2016, this unit, which is destined to examine taxpayers' complaints on tax assessments against them, was examining something around 50% of the cases brought before it. Today, the rate of the cases examined has exceeded 90%, and also case law of our DRU, of our Dispute Resolution Unit, has become more and more aligned to the case law of the courts, thus becoming fairer than before. And what is more important, all decisions of this unit are published in our website so that everyone knows how the tax administration applies its rules. This has led to a considerable reduction of cases brought before the courts, but also to a better legal support of the state's position for those cases. The second example is the mutual agreement procedure. Until 2016, Greece did not have a MAP framework. This meant that the mutual agreement procedures provided for in the double taxation treaties concluded by Greece could not practically be implemented. We managed to introduce comprehensive primary and secondary legislation that allows the application of these procedures, and such cases are already in progress within our administration. The third example is tax refunds. It is our firm belief that we cannot achieve trust and we cannot ask from the taxpayers to fulfill their obligations if the state does not respect its obligations towards them. This is why we have made considerable efforts in reducing our stock of refunds, taxes due to taxpayers. In September 1st, our stock amounted to more than 2.5 billion euros. Now, it is something more than 1 million, and if we take into account of a considerable amount for which we have done our part and for which we wait for the taxpayer either to show up or to give us the bank account that he would like us to put the refund in, I would say that our actual stock is less than 850 million euros. Our goal is to have finished with the stock by the end of September 2018. Our next big project for 2018 is investing in tax certainty. As you may know, simplicity and taxes are rarely compatible concepts. This is because, inevitably, tax systems and tax fairness need to also reflect the complexity of our world. This, however, does not exclude tax certainty, which means providing taxpayers and potential investors with all the information they need to know with their taxes, what their obligations are, and what their obligations will be. It is a big challenge for us, but also a goal that we need to achieve if we want to make a difference when it comes to attracting investments. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, since January 1st, the tax authority has become organizationally and functionally independent. This was the end of a process of institutional transformation that had started from the creation of a single revenue authority in 2013, but not an end to itself. On the contrary, we see it as an enabling framework that will allow us to implement the broad list of reforms that we need. All these reforms are currently put under the umbrella of what we call our blueprint reform. This is what the tax administration, what we would like the tax administration to look like in 3 years from now. By implementing the key features of this blueprint reform is, first of all, implementing a client-based approach, whereby we will be able to provide quality services remotely, thus enhancing service delivery for greater voluntary compliance. By investing on our infrastructure and especially on our IT, which is the cornerstone of all transformation, through recruitment of skilled employees and renewal of all our equipment that has become obsolete. By reducing unnecessary costs through centralizing processes like collection and through reviewing and merging units in the big cities of Greece. And by establishing a modern human resources management system. I would like to say a few words on that because I had referred to that issue during my last year's speech. Our aim is to establish and operate a transparent and fully meritocratic system of allocation to grades, appraisal and promotion for our staff, taking into account the experience and performance of each staff member. The modernization has four main components. The first one is the job descriptions. This is a basic tool for all modern organizations, you know that, so that everyone can see which are the jobs and the work that is done is clearly understood. Assessment, fair assessment based on objective criteria. Career paths, we need to give our people the knowledge on how they're going to evolve within the agency. And of course, a fair payment scheme, salary scheme. We want to move to a system in which payment is not based only on seniority and academic skills, but also on the duties, responsibilities, and working conditions of each position. And we have started doing this. The attribution of job descriptions to almost all our staff will have finished by the end of this year. And barring the unexpected, by May 2018, we will have finalized the other components of the reform: grading, the wage grid, and the procedures for evolving professionally within the agency. Why is this important for us? Because through that process, we will bring fairness to our HR system and will address in a better and more transparent way integrity issues. Why is this important for you? Because together with our tax academy, which is the infrastructure that we are creating for the training of our staff, you will get better quality of services. Ladies and gentlemen, I know and I feel how important investments are for Greece. We want investments that will create new jobs and bring sustainable growth. In other words, we need you beside us, with us, and we promise, and I personally promise, that day by day we will facilitate our job in the tax administration context. Thank you for your attention.